What's good, everyone? It's Weeby's back with another video. In this video, we're making another deck, baby. So in my previous video, I talked about making decks based off Planeswalkers. So in this one, we will be making one based off of Jace, Cunning Castaway. Admittedly, I think the only Jace Planeswalker I actually have. But on that note, a couple of the other ones I don't have others of either, so it's fine. Like Chandra, I only have one Chandra. But I've got my trusty extras. I also have some unorganized shits that I will go through after I go through my binder, because it'll take longer. So if I can finish it with just my binder stuff, that's perfect. Fucking fantastic. All right, without further ado, let's get started. All right, but first I have to get through my black, because I got a lot of them. All right, so we'll analyze Jace's abilities, and then try and come up with a decent deck for this. So he's a 3-mana mono blue legendary planeswalker. So his +1 says whenever one or more creatures you control deal combat damage to a player this turn, draw a card, then discard a card. Which tells me that I should fill it with a bunch of draw cards. Okay, it should be draw, maybe some discard stuff, as well as mill, because that's always been Jace's thing. Draw and mill have been kind of like a staple of Jace specifically. So that's what his first ability tells me. His second ability is a -2, create a 2/2 blue illusion creature token with whenever this creature becomes a target of a spell or ability, sacrifice it. That tells me I shouldn't have too many enchantments or instants and sorceries that target my creatures, other than the ones that I'm going to throw in there that don't get sacrificed, which has also been a really big staple when it comes to Jace. A lot of things that have Jace's name on it, they're like, oh, we're an illusion, but whenever you cast a spell on us, we just die anyways. But coming down to his third ability, one of the planeswalkers that only have 3, we've got a -5, create 2 tokens that are copies of Jace Cunning Castaway, except they're not legendary, which is insane. First off, to have an army of planeswalkers can be done. I'm not even sure if that's how it would work, if getting rid of their legendary status would make them stay, because originally, before they introduced legendary planeswalkers, the legend rule affected all planeswalkers. It didn't matter. So what this tells me is one or two things. Because they lose legendary status, I would get 2, but 1 would get sacrificed due to the legendary rule. Or 2, because they're not legendary anymore, because they altered the legendary rule, I would keep all 3 of my Jace Cunning Castaways. And now I can potentially get an army of Jaces, which, based on his -2, I could also create an army of illusions. So there's a couple things I could do with this. So coming in, so on my first page of this, I actually don't really have much. Probably based on how I had it set up originally. I need to reorganize my shit. But so we've got Treasure Cruise. It's a 8 mana draw 3 cards, but it also has Delve. Each card you exile from your graveyard while casting the spell pays for 1 colorless. So I don't like that card whatsoever. I'm gonna be honest. I'm sure you could find some combos for it, but me personally, I do not like it. All right, on this next page, we've got Stripped Riverwinder. It's a 7 mana 5/5 hexproof and cycling for 1 blue. Cycling, for those who don't know, is discard this card and draw a card. That one's solid choice, not gonna lie. Only because it's a decently powerful creature. And then to finish off my 7 mana cards, I have Roiling Waters. What this one says is return up to 2 target creatures your opponents control to their owner's hands, and target player draws 2 cards. That's actually a solid choice. I think I'm gonna throw that one in there. So we've got Roiling Waters. Woo! It's an expensive but nice card. And then we've got Scab Goliath. Not really my cup of tea. It's a 6 mana 6/9, which is at least the good part, is it's powerful. It's got Trample, Zombie Giant, and as an additional cost to cast it, exile 2 creatures from your graveyard. So that's gonna be a hard pass for me. And then we've got Harbor Serpent, which is 6 mana 5/5 Island Walk. And Harbor Serpent can't attack unless there are 5 or more islands on the battlefield. Which, in a mono blue deck, that's going to happen by the time I actually play him. So basically he's just a 5/5 with Island Walk for 6 mana. Which isn't bad, but Jace has never been all about the big creatures. He's all about cunning shit. Which is why he's, the Cunning Castaway. Duh. And then we've got Benthic Giant, because he's been thick. Yeah, that was a terrible joke. You don't have to laugh. Which is a 6 mana 4/5 with hexproof. He's not bad, actually. Just, again, big creatures, expensive creatures are not Jace's cup of tea. But we've got the Angler Drake, which is a 6 mana 4/4 flying. And when it enters the battlefield, you may return target creature to its owner's hand. I've noticed that a lot with blue. They return shit to the owner's hand. I don't know why, but it's whatever. No, honestly, that's a solid choice, even though it's a 6 mana 4/4, which is not ideal. I'll be honest. I'll come back to that one. And then we've got Canal Courier, which is a 3/5 for 6 mana. Enters the battlefield, you become the monarch. Whenever it or another creature attack different players, he can't be blocked this turn. I mean, could be worse, I guess. I'll come back to that one too. Most of these 6 ones I'll probably just come back to, I'll be honest. And then we've got Skyline Predator, which is a 6 mana 3/4 flash flying. Kind of expensive for a creature with flash, not gonna lie. So I think I'm gonna pass on that one. And then we've got Asperia's Skywatch, which is a 6 mana 3/3 with flying. And when it enters the battlefield, detain target creature and opponent controls. The only good thing about this is it's a flying and it detains things. I'm a pass on that one as well. And then we've got Sea God's Revenge, which is a 6 mana sorcery. And return up to 3 target creatures your opponents control to their hands and use Scry 1. So that one is probably one of the best ones I've seen so far. Yeah, I think I'll do that one. Sea God's Revenge, boys. This is going to take a lot longer than I thought. The next one is Rise from the Tides. 6 mana, put a 2/2 black zombie creature token onto the battlefield, tapped for each instant and sorcery card in your graveyard. So because this is a Jace deck, that would probably be smart, I'm not going to lie. So I'm going to do it. Because he's all about his instants and sorceries. And then the next one is Flood Waters, which is a 6 mana, return up to 2 target creatures to their owner's hands, and it's got cycling for 2. That's a hard pass. And then we've got Conjured Currency, 6 mana enchantment, and it's the last 6 mana I have in my binder. And at the beginning of your upkeep, you may exchange control of Conjured Currency and target permanent you neither own nor control. So, I'm going to do this one only because, realistically, say someone has, we'll say like, I dropped the card. Say someone has like, we're talking like Hero's Bane or something, and they beefed it up a lot. They don't have trample though, so I've been surviving by just blocking with little itty bitty things. And I have Conjure Currency, and at the beginning of my upkeep, I just swap Conjure Currency and Hero's Bane. Enough said. And then we've got Whim Waiter. I'm hoping I pronounced that right, but it's a 5 mana 6/4, and it can't attack unless defending player controls a blue permanent. The only way that would be good is if I did use Conjured Currency, because they would control Conjured Currency at that point. But that's going to be a hard pass. And then we've got Leyline Phantom, which is a 5 mana 5/5, and when it deals combat damage, return it to its owner's hand. I'm just going to have a hard pass on that one. So I'm going to stop reading all of these because this will make this video go by so long. I'll read the ones that essentially just capture my eye. Oh, there's Scry. No thanks. A lot of these really suck. Here we go. We're going to do Rock Crown Ghoul. It's a 5 mana 3/3, and when it dies, target player puts the top 5 cards of his or her library into his or her graveyard. It'd be better in a black and blue deck, but I'm gonna throw it in here for the mill, obviously. But a lot of these would be better if, you know, they did more than just one fucking thing. All right, so I'm gonna do Academy Journey Mage, which is the 5 mana 3/2. This spell costs 1 less to cast if you control a wizard. When it enters the battlefield, return target creature an opponent controls to its owner's hand. Only because I'm expecting to have more wizards in here. And then I'm gonna do Mole Drifter. Only because of its evoke. If it didn't have the evoke, I wouldn't have even suggested it, I'll be honest. But originally it's a 5 mana 2/2 flying. When it comes into play, draw 2 cards, but I can cast it for its evoke for 3. And basically I play it, draw 2 cards, and then I sack it. So I'm gonna do Mole Drifter. All right, and then I'm gonna choose the Mirari Conjecture. It's a saga. So for the first one, it says return target instant or sorcery card from your hand. For the second one, return target sorcery card from your graveyard to your hand. And for the third one, until end of turn, whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, copy it. You may choose new targets for the copy. As this saga enters and after your draw step, add a lore counter, sacrifice after 3. So when it enters, you add your first lore counter, and then you return target instant card from your graveyard to your hand. And then when you draw, after your draw step, you put another one and return a sorcery. And then after you draw your 3rd time until your next turn, anything you cast, any of your instants or sorceries you cast will be copied, which is really nice for a sorcery deck. And I know I said it, but I told you I was going to throw in another wizard. Beguiler of Wills. 5 mana 1/1. Tap it, gain control of target creature with power less than or equal to the number of creatures you control. Simple enough. You could combo that stupid easy. So I found 2 interesting ones just now, I'll be honest. So the first one is Eugene's Insight, 5 mana sorcery. Scry X, where X is the highest converted mana cost among permanents you control, then draw 3 cards. And then the next one is Pore Over the Pages, 5 mana sorcery, draw 3 cards, untap up to 2 lands, then discard a card. Which isn't bad. And then I'm going to do Aberrant Researcher. 4 mana, 3/2, flying. At the beginning of your upkeep, put the top card of your library into your graveyard. If it's an instant or sorcery card, transform Aberrant Researcher. That's what he looks like. And then when he transforms, it's called Perfected Form. Flying 5/4. That's all it does. But it'll be really nice to have a big flyer like that for 4 mana. And then I'm going to go Keymaster Rogue. 4 mana, 3/2. It's unblockable. And when it enters the battlefield, return a creature you control to its owner's hand. And then I'm going to go with Nimble Innovator. 4 mana, 2/2. And when it enters the battlefield, draw a card. And then obviously I'm going to go with Vidakian Entrancer, which is a 4 mana, 1/4. Tap a blue, tap it. And target player puts the top 2 cards of his or her library into his or her graveyard. And then I'm going to do Pirate's Prize. 4 mana, draw 2 cards, create a colorless treasure artifact token with tap it, sacrifice it, and add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. And then I'm going to do 4C. Scry 4, then draw 2 cards for 4 mana. Plain and simple. Then I'm going to do Exultant Cultist, 3 mana, 2/2. When it dies, draw a card. keep smacking my little stand. And then I'm do Chill of Foreboding, 3 mana. Each player puts the top 5 cards of his or her library into his or her graveyard and flashback for 8. Divination. I'm actually going to throw 2 of these bad boys in here. 3 mana, draw 2 cards, plain and simple. And then Gale Strike, 3 mana, return target tapped creature to its owner's hand, and draw a card. And then Crosstown Courier. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, that player puts that many cards from his or her library into his or her graveyard. And then I'm going to throw a legendary in here. Tetsuko Umezawa, Fugitive, 2 mana, 1/3. Creatures you control with power or toughness 1 or less can't be blocked. All right. And then Shriekgeist, 2 mana, 1/1, flying. Whenever he deals combat damage to a player, that player puts the top 2 cards of his or her library into his or her graveyard. And then I'm going to put a couple of these compelling arguments. 2 mana sorcery. Target player puts the top 5 cards of his or her library into his or her graveyard, and it's got cycling for 1 mana. And then I'm going to put a couple Mind Sculpts in here. So it's a 2 mana just like the last one, except target opponent puts the top 7 cards of his or her library into his or her graveyard. And then I'll put a couple of these Jace's Phantasms in here. It's a 1 mana, 1/1 flying. It gets +4/+4 as long as an opponent has 10 or more cards in his or her graveyard. Then I'll do Thought Scour. Target player puts the top 2 cards of his or her library into his or her graveyard, draw a card. And then I'll do Silent Departure, which is a 1 mana, return target creature to its owner's hand, flashback. And then I'll shove a couple of these Triton Shore Stalkers in there. They're 1 mana, 1/1s with can't be blocked. And that makes up the roster for my Jace deck. Please remember, if you like this content, like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll be sure to make more of these. As I've said, a few of the Planeswalker decks I already have built before I got this brilliant idea for more content. But that's about it for me. I'll see y'all later.